raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars. But we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. And we're very, very pissed off.
Fight Club has been able to remain relevant years after release. We can ask ourselves, why is that? The staple in keeping this film in the forefront of the modern viewer is the psychological premise of the project. Fight Club starts off by portraying the everyday, cut-and-paste life of the protagonist. Fincher and team do a fantastic job of displaying the overall dissatisfaction the protagonist has with his everyday life. Everyday tasks seem so menial, and the protagonist has shut himself off so deeply to avoid further angst from his life that he's seemingly numb. Life is just things: sofa sets, lawn chairs, lamps.
Like so many others, I had become a slave to the IKEA nesting instinct.
Yes, I'd like to order the Erica Picari dust ruffles.
If I saw something clever, like a little coffee table in the shape of a yin-yang, I had to have it. The Klipsk personal office unit, the Hovatrek home Exerbike, or the Ohaneshov sofa with the string green stripe pattern.
The monotonous catalog of life junk displayed by the protagonist is displayed through his possessions. Emphasis is placed on these things in instances such as in the beginning of the film, when the camera pans through Edward Norton's room to signify how much everything costs and the specifications surrounding them. This emphasis is actually the opposite representation of how Norton feels. Deep down, he understands that all of these material things are useless. He's just in a time where he hasn't yet faced it. Modernized first world living, in essence, has created an environment where we are often working for people we don't know, for products we don't love, and services we'd rather not do. The landscape of the modern employee is one that lacks internal investment in organization. Extrinsic factors such as money and furniture are the number one priority in our careers. Fight Club does an amazing job of representing this. Ed Norton works a job in which he's constantly forced to move. Thus, his life is full of movement while seemingly maintaining a constant routine. Regardless of the location the narrator finds himself in, the same things apply: 1 bar of soap, 1 stick of butter, 1 bottle of shampoo. Our life, or Norton's life, is enveloped into a meaningless culture curated by ourselves. As life is moving further and further toward the bottom of a pit of despair, the narrator meets Tyler Durden, the complete opposite of himself. Tyler has little value in the material things in life, acts erratically, and encapsulates a moment before letting it slip. Tyler Durden is ambitious, sometimes overly ambitious, and this makes the protagonist at first uncomfortable. Having someone who is different from yourself is both intimidating and intriguing. Through convincing, Tyler convinces the protagonist to take on his style of living. The pair choose to rebel against the system, engage in a life outside of the realms of corporate monotony, all in an effort to be free, free from oneself, one's possessions, one's obligations. A huge moment in moving towards this newfound goal takes place in the first fight scene. Tyler convinces the narrator to punch him, spurring punches back, which ultimately break out into a full-blown fight. The characters enjoy this, but why? Fighting resembles a naturalistic, almost barbaric act, a complete opposite of the life these characters are trying to avoid.
Want me to hit you?
That's right.
What, like in the face?
Surprise me.
There are no sets of rules or regulations. It's pure, raw, and built into our most primal instincts as humans. Fighting signifies self-destruction, which is a major point of the film. Destroying oneself along with destroying society represent the internal mission of the characters. The film portrays a view that the world around us is meaningless, and therefore why not destroy it? Another important part of the film is the need for leadership, guidance, and acceptance. The men portrayed in the project come to the Fight Club weak, shallow, and with no guidance. The Fight Club provides a sense of community, brotherhood, and masculine leadership, something all of these characters subconsciously crave. Fight Club chooses to elaborate on this perspective throughout a majority of the first half of the film. Fatherlessness and a lack of leadership lead these men to destruction.
Fight Club wasn't about winning or losing. It wasn't about words. The hysterical shouting was in tongues, like at a Pentecostal church.
Is that it?
When the fight was over, nothing was solved, but nothing mattered.
The second half of the film picks up with the start of Project Mayhem. Project Mayhem represents the core beliefs displayed from the Fight Club to an even further extent. The goal is to create chaos, destruction, and act as an equalizer. Project Mayhem serves to provide freedom through destruction. By resetting the debt of the people, it does serve as an equalizer. In this instance, no debt equals freedom. Fight Club represents a perspective that the world around us has become something meaningless. We as a society have become soft, comfortable, and free of risk, excitement, and the ability to make ourselves feel alive. We are all just corporate robots struggling to find our true purpose. We no longer have to worry about safety, food, water, shelter, and our basic needs. But through this, we have lost our ability to feel, to express, and our fundamental system of beliefs. The answer Durden and company come up with to combat this is destruction, hitting the reset button, destroying the world, and completely starting over. The reason Fight Club has been successful is because this premise relates to a lot of people. Through this movie, the viewer can place certain viewpoints and perspectives and find a correlation to their own life of the world. Fight Club forces ourselves to ask these tough questions, forces us to a point of introspection, and provides us an extreme example of fixing the issues presented. Our life revolves around doing menial work for people we don't care about and companies we don't believe in, all to satisfy the urge to acquire more meaningless material possessions and continue the life we've been taught we must live. Through extreme actions, Fight Club chooses to show us that we don't have to continue this life, that we can break this mold we've been forced to believe. As mentioned, Fight Club chooses to solve the aforementioned problems through complete destruction, destroying everything around us along with ourselves. It's at this point that the viewer can make their own decision if they believe in the premise of the film and the actions taken to achieve the overarching goals of the film. You, the viewer, can relate to some of the themes displayed, such as a loss of ambition and a focus on material things, but don't necessarily have to agree with the extreme actions taken to combat these issues. The story and the resolution of the story is something you can mold to fit your own life. This is the true beauty of the film. Tyler, the protagonist, and Marla all eventually find themselves free. They do not care about the things they once did. They realize they could die at any point and the world in their eyes has become meaningless. Marla brings chaos just like Tyler, and the goal of the two is to always influence the protagonist as well as yourself by pulling yourself further into the overall point of the movie. Just when you feel like things might have become comfortable, Tyler or Marla shake things up through their off-the-cuff actions. Fight Club offers something for everybody and shows the importance of internal versus external conflict in a story. The psychological components of the film override the lack of structure, showing that traditional story structure and elements don't always have to be followed for something to stick in the viewer's mind. The grittiness, rawness, and in-your-face representation of the world and the core ideas make this a great film. Fight Club will continue to thrive for years to come and be a project people are always looking back on. Truly a great film.
Consumers.
Right. We are consumers. We are byproducts of a lifestyle obsession. Murder, crime, poverty, these things don't concern me. What concerns me Or celebrity magazines, television with 500 channels, some guy's name on my underwear.